Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about comparisons, which is also a type of adjective because it's comparing something to something else. So basically there's two types of comparisons. There's the ER, bigger, sweeter, fancier, and there's the EST, biggest, sweetest, fanciest. That is the one that is bigger than anything else. So when we compare using either of these, we compare always to something else. And I'm going to show you how that works a little bit. So let's take a look at our first example with Bill, the big cow, Bob, the bigger cow, and Bull, the biggest cow here. First of all, we know that Bob is definitely bigger than Bill, but Bob is not the biggest. There's still a cow that's bigger than him. So we call Bob bigger. And when I write bigger, I'm going to add a G as well, like this, bigger. Why do I add that G? Well, any sort of sound that has what we call a short vowel, which sounds like a, e, I, those are all short vowels. Whenever we have a short vowel, we always double the letter here. So big with an I needs two G's. And the same for bull, which is the biggest cow. We're going to put G, E, S, T. So if it's a short vowel, you're going to add an extra letter as you go. Now when we write sentences about Bill, Bob, or Bull, we are always going to compare Bob or Bull to something else when we use these comparison words. We can't just write a sentence that says Bob is bigger. That's not correct because we don't know what he's bigger than or who he's bigger than. You need to compare him to something else. So if I wanted to write a sentence, I would probably write something like this. Bob is bigger than Bill. So this word bigger compares Bob to Bill. It works for both of those. You need two of those things in order for that to be a proper sentence. Likewise, if we want to use the word biggest, we also have to compare biggest to something else. So I'm going to say Bull is the biggest cow. So this time, Bull is being compared to all cows. So biggest applies to Bull and it applies to all cows because we're saying he's the biggest out of every single other cow we've ever seen. Bull is the biggest. Or maybe he's just the biggest out of these three cows, who knows. But either way, we have to know that it's being compared to something else. So Bob is bigger than Bill. Bull is the biggest cow. Now in those sentences, we have our subject, and we still have our verb, and the comparison word here is our adjective. In this sentence, the is also an adjective, because we know any article like that is also an adjective. So there we go, that's how we compare our cows. That works the same for our wonderful desserts here. We have sweet, we have sweeter, and we have sweetest. Now the E sound is what we call a long vowel sound. A, E, I, O, U are all long vowel sounds. So in this case, we're not going to add an extra T. We're just going to put the ER, and we're just going to put the EST because it's a long vowel sound. There we go. And if I wanted to make a sentence, I could make a sentence like this. Candy is sweeter than cupcakes. There's our first sentence. So the word sweeter is our adjective, and sweeter is comparing candy to cupcakes. It's comparing two of those things. There we go. Candy is our adjective. Now what about this? Cotton candy is the sweetest. Am I done? No, of course not. In order for me to use the word sweetest, I have to say what it's the sweetest of. So I can say something like cotton candy is the sweetest of these three treats. So now I know that it's comparing the cotton candy to the rest of these treats. Once again, a word ending with est also compares two different things, so don't forget to include that in your sentence. Where is our subject? Well, here's our subjects. And where's our verb? There's our verb. Now technically, cotton, I suppose, could be an adjective as well, and we know that is also an adjective, but there's just an example of some more sentences with that in it. Let's look at the last one. We have 3 wonderful dresses here. I guess I should label them. Let's call this dress number 1, dress number 2, and dress number 3. Now, fancy doesn't have necessarily a short or long, well, I guess a sort of a long vowel, but interestingly enough, this word ends in a Y. It doesn't end in a consonant like T or G. Whenever our word ends in a Y, we have to change it to an I when we make it better. So fancier looks like this, I-E-R. And fanciest looks like this, I-E-S-T. There we go. So we have fancier and fanciest. If we wanted to make sentences for those two, I'd say dress 2 is fancier than dress 1. There we go. And once again, this adjective fancier is comparing dress 2 and dress 1. And then if I wanted to use fanciest, dress 3 is the fanciest dress. So it's comparing dress 3 to all the rest of the dresses, all of the dresses there. Now what about these words? Big, sweet, fancy, are those comparison words? Well, actually they're not. If I wanted to write a sentence about a fancy dress, I could say dress 1 is very fancy. Does that mean I'm comparing dress 1 to another dress? No. So these words by themselves are not comparison words. They're only comparison words if they have the ER or the EST. I know that's a lot of new information, grade 4s, but I hope you can process that and understand that, and I hope you can take that into your work for today. Thank you.